Sawadee Krap, and welcome to another Media Friday here on the Funkit Pod. Another quick media session. What happened in the media this past week? What didn't happen in the media this past week? What should we talk about? And well, as always, without further ado, let's jump right into it. And remember last week, what we discussed last week, and to a great extent, we discussed Gaza and Israel, and I tried to be really politically correct somewhat, or at least I tried not to step on anybody's toes because it's a really difficult subject matter, of course, difficult conflict and so on that we can't just solve here within 20 minutes of a podcast. What have you heard of Gaza and Israel this past week in the media? There's a truce ceasefire, and then? So, nothing, right? Exactly. So, nothing changed. I mean, yes, they stopped the shooting for right now, the war, ceasefire, but the conflict didn't get solved, obviously, because it hasn't been solved in forever, right? So it's not solved. Nothing is all good. Nothing's better. Nothing changed because we're all good people and we hashtag pray for Gaza, hashtag pray for Israel, or whatever, whichever side you're on. Hopefully neither, and you're trying to just pray for salvation, I don't know. But nothing changed. Just because we don't see it in the media right now doesn't mean it's over. So the conflict, the problem is still there. And this shows very well what we discussed last week in great detail. The media is super happy to jump on board as soon as there's like shooting and violence, because this gives you clicks and downloads and shares. The conflict is still there. But right now there's no shooting, at least none that we know of. And so the media doesn't jump on it. Like, why would we report just about negotiations or something? Why would we just report about the problem at hand when there's no violence involved? No one wants to see that. And that's the media in 2021 for you. So awesome to all the media outlets out there, CNN, NBC, Fox, whatever. I don't care which side of the spectrum you're on. F you. So all of a sudden it's all gone from the media. And don't even get me started on Myanmar, right? Myanmar, we talked about the coup for now, ever since February 1st when the coup happened. That's February to March, March to April, April to May, May to... Just like 4 months. And it's almost in none of the mainstream media outlets out there that we discussed last week, right? No one's still talking about it. This past week, for example, Aung San Suu Kyi, the former advisor to the president, that lady that had the Nobel Peace Prize and then they revoked it again because of the Rohingya crisis, they had her appear in court next to the former president. And it's a big deal. And of course, they threw some shady BS at her, the military government that is. But no one reports about that. Great job, media. Great job. So yeah, what the media did report on though, and I'm sticking with the political stuff at least for a second, if I may. Well, John Cena. I try to find a better transition here, a smoother transition. Well, I have a wrestling podcast here on the Funkit Pod too, right? Wrestling Wednesday, that happens on a Friday now because for several reasons. But so John Cena, one of the most famous wrestlers ever, actor extraordinaire, like in the Fast and Furious saga right now, Fast 9, in the media, in the theaters right now. Most successful movie right now. Well, there aren't that many movies, to be honest, in the theaters, and not that many theaters are open, but whatever. And he, in an interview, apparently said that Taiwan is a country, which, congratulations, you passed geography class, I guess. But then, of course, China got mad at John Cena, like, how dare you say Taiwan is a country? And then John Cena, because he speaks fluent Chinese, and China is a big market, of course, for the Fast franchise and wrestling and whatever. So he came out with a video and he apologized for calling Taiwan a country in Chinese. So he spoke Chinese. And he's like saying like he's really, 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 really sorry for calling Taiwan a country. He messed up. Of course, Taiwan is not a country. Someone give John Cena his own 5-knuckle shuffle, please. What in the world? Oh, God. Yeah, I mean, I even have words for this. Like how it's like LeBron back then, right? He's like, yeah, Black Lives Matter, and they do. But then as soon as something China, yeah, sorry China, hey, but please buy my shoes. John Cena, yeah, sorry, please come see my movie and buy my action figures. Woo, hey, China, yay, great job, John Cena. I don't speak Mandarin as fluent as John Cena. I did study it a little bit, and I'm not sure if I still hit the pronunciation correct, but Yihan Sina Hanlan, I hope I still got it. And Taiwan Shige Gujia. That took me quite some researching and some thinking back at the last time I had Mandarin lessons, which is like almost 2 years ago or so. But hey, John Cena, can't wait for you to get cancelled. John Cena sucks. Just saying. All right, but let's not dwell too much on people that nobody cares about anymore, hopefully. Let's jump into like the media industry space and whatever happened, right? So now on Twitter, you know, this blue checkmark that everybody wants on Twitter and on IG, right? You know how you can get it on Twitter? You can pay for it. What? So Twitter now has the blue subscription service, $2.99 per month. Is it per month? Actually, I didn't even check on it. I just saw $2.99 the subscription service. Whatever. You can pay for the blue checkmark. Why would I then still care about it if everyone can pay for it? Twitter, if you're so, hurting for money, just tell Jack Dorsey to stop going on those yoga retreats for a year or so. Twitter, why are you doing this? So now you can pay for your checkmark. Congratulations. Takes away the whole, meaning of the checkmark, obviously. No smooth transition here. It's just selling out is always sad. To stick with the wrestling references, the wrestling fans would shout right now, "You sold out. You sold out." Just saying. Sports fans everywhere would do this. Okay, let's move on away from Twitter, because who wants to be on Twitter if you can pay for the checkmark? Here in Thailand, just to let you know that there are also some social media changes happening sometimes. And according to an article I read last week, that says social media users can face legal action for spreading false COVID-19 information. Because here in Thailand, it's still a big thing. Check my Thailand Tuesdays for Thailand podcast related matters. So vaccine isn't yet rolled out completely. It's actually not, it's just in the beginning stages of being rolled out. And so if you spread false information on social media, you can be charged and you can face legal action. And I believe what I read in the article, and please double check that, I think last week 2 people have been charged, I believe, for spreading false information about COVID-19. So double check before you post. All right. One thing that I found super cool this week in the media is related to tennis and to mental health. So you might be aware of Naomi Osaka, like the rising superstar of the past 2 years or so, have partly Haitian, Japanese, American, I believe. I know there's some Japanese in there, some American, Haitian. I'm not sure if I make it up, but I think I heard that right. Anyways, I think she's super talented. Obviously, she wins like all those Grand Slams as long as they're not on clay. But I think she's also cool how she handles the media. And now she said she's not going. Now the French Open are happening, right? And she said, "I'm not going to partake in any media press conference during the French Open." And she said the reason is, A, those questions are always the same that we answered them many times before. B, it's like an extra stress for the athletes to do media during the tournament. And B, that just adds to the mental health problems, basically, right? It makes you go crazy, it makes you doubt yourself, or journalists try to make you doubt yourself. And that just makes sense to me. I always wondered, like, how after big games, during playoffs, whatever, how the players are doing media, why they are supposed to do media. Like, yeah, it's nice to see them, but the answers are all the same BS. Remember, I'm not sure if you remember, if you're into American football, there was this guy, I think Richard Sherman, Seattle Seahawks back then, doesn't really matter. And he went to a press conference and he answered every question with, I'm only here so I don't get fined. Because in all the sport events, if the athlete doesn't go to the press conference that they're supposed to go to, they will get fined. And tennis, I think it's up to 20,000 euros possibilities. I think Serena Williams skipped a few press conferences and back then got fined like 3,000 to 5,000 euros or something like this. But now apparently the French Open are really mad at Naomi Osaka, and they say they will fine her. They will definitely fine her, which I find just totally weird. Because yeah, I'm all for those super well-paid athletes. They shouldn't be complaining about being in the spotlight. Yes, but during a tournament, why would you have them like sit there for 2 hours or for an hour, or even if it's just 30 minutes? Why would you have to sit them there and just listen to your questions that have been asked over and over again? Like, hey, after a win, so what was your secret to success? What do you think you did very well? What did you see in your opponent if you lost? Hey, so what didn't go well today? Like, F you, right? So I understand Naomi Osaka. Usually I'm on the side of the media and I'm like, hey, they shouldn't complain because they make all the money by being famous and using the media. But in this case, I completely understand it, and I'm all for what Naomi Osaka is doing here. So Naomi, good on you. She got lots of famous support. I think Cardi B came out, supported a few other artists, commented on her IG, I believe, or Twitter. So good on Naomi Osaka for standing up for mental health and so on here. So I applaud that. Well done. Don't back down. You got this. All right. Speaking of social media and mental health and so on, Instagram, we talked about this before, eventually made it happen. So now you can actually hide likes so that there's less pressure out. As you can say on my profile, I don't want to see any likes. Don't show likes to anyone, so that you can maybe, I don't know, reduce peer pressure and so on. So if they talked about it for a long time, eventually they made it happen. I don't know how to transition to the next topic, because I've been hating on WhatsApp for like a long time now, and now WhatsApp actually tries to take the side of the user, and they are now suing the Indian government because the Indian government wants to have a new law in place that would infringe on user privacy. And WhatsApp said, no, we can't do this, because if we follow those new rules, then this would be privacy infringement of our users, and we can't stand for that. Is Facebook taking a stand for privacy? Good on you, WhatsApp. Good on you. Let's see where this goes. I don't know where this goes. Probably nowhere, because India is going to be like, whatever. But good on Facebook for trying to stand up here, I guess. Maybe it's also a little bit of PR, obviously. Maybe a little lot of PR. But still, hey, nice. Speaking of countries that are hating on social media, India, WhatsApp, Chinese media obviously is hating on everything right now, because reports are surfacing again that maybe it's not just a conspiracy that the COVID-19 virus was man-made in a lab in Wuhan. You know, some stories coming out that maybe they could support the theory. Even Anthony Fauci now said, yeah, could be. It points to that. And now, of course, Chinese state media now turns on Fauci, and like back then when he said, like when Fauci said, no, it's not man-made, they're like, yeah, look at him, and now it's like, look at him, he's like making up conspiracy theories. So now the Chinese state media turning on Fauci, and is hating on him, to use like a nicer word. And also social media, of course, Chinese social media, portraying Fauci in a certain light. While now, of course, here in Western social media, now there's the discussion like, hey, did you see those news? Maybe there's something there. I knew it. of course, now both sides clashing, obviously, right? Let's see where this goes. If this goes anywhere, I have to wait and see. But that now the fact that, so of course we have to figure out like what actually happened, right? But the fact that now those what we call conspiracy theories now gain some traction again and maybe have some substantial in there, this leads of course also to lots of disinformation flooding. Like, hey, did you see this? That's true. So this must also be true, right? So there's lots of disinformation now coming out again, and this comes from everywhere. This is about COVID-19, obviously. And now that I say the word here, COVID-19, then YouTube will show you, if you watch it on YouTube, will show you like a banner like, hey, this is about COVID-19. Don't believe everything you hear, right? For example. It's about the conflicts in Myanmar also, for example, right? It's about like Gaza and Israel as well, of course. Like, for example, one example in Myanmar was, there was some disinformation on social media that apparently Chinese electric workers, specialists, engineers are coming to Myanmar to shut down the internet. And then Myanmar people read that, and then they attacked Chinese people that they saw because they thought they're going to shut down the internet. Didn't happen, wasn't the case. Just hurt innocent Chinese people living in Myanmar. And so this information, of course, can be terrible and needs to be fought. And the EU now, European Union, sites like the flood of disinformation right now as a reason to toughen social media codes. So they want a new social media code established. They say big companies, Facebook, Twitter, and so on, they need to increase fact-checking mechanisms, and they need to have algorithm changes to actually make sure that facts are being checked and that disinformation is not being spread. This is interesting because the EU actually wants to basically push like laws and regulations that then social media platforms would have to follow. I find this quite interesting. And the main reason is like not the Myanmar disinformation, it's like the anti-vaccination campaigns that are out there right now. So the COVID-19 disinformation, you might have seen it, there are now some news out there that Pfizer, BioNTech might lead to whatever, you growing horns or whatnot. So some strange stuff out there, some anti-vaccine campaigns, and that's why the EU said, no, hey, we need to do something here. Of course, social media pages are rather hesitant to follow this. Of course, they are usually happy to censor stuff, but like to actually have like laws in place, I'm not sure if they're happy to do so. Since we're on the social media topic, right? What else happened? Some newly released records, and I just copied it here so I can actually repeat it. Some newly released records show how Trump tried to retaliate against social media for fact-checking, speaking of fact-checking, and apparently had an executive order that was unconstitutional. It was pretty far-reaching, apparently, and it directed independent agencies like the FCC to start a rule-making to undermine legal protections for users' speech online. It also ordered the Department of Justice to review online advertising spending by all federal agencies to consider whether certain platforms receiving that money were problematic vehicles for government speech. Crazy, right? So Trump really tried to hurt those social media platforms because they were fake news and against him. Crazy. So Biden now withdrew that that executive order, which then the Electronic Frontier Foundation and so on, they applauded him for that. It's like, yeah, good job. That has to be undone. But crazy that a president would do that. A president in the Western free world. Speaking of people who want to be president, I don't know. Mark Cuban said, I just want to mention what he said because, I mean, he's a billionaire, so sometimes his hunches, especially when it comes to technology, are worth something. And he says cryptocurrencies are starting to show real demand. Of course, he owns Dallas Mavericks accepting, I believe, Dogecoin, Ethereum, and maybe, what was the other one? I forgot. I think they also wanted to accept another cryptocurrency as payment. He invests in Polygon. I want to, but it's not listed here in our Thai exchange. Hey, BitCup, can you finally list Polygon, please? Thank you. I'm sorry, Binance still sucks when you're in Thailand. So that's what Mark Cuban says. I hope you enjoyed the rise of cryptocurrency again over the past week or so. Now the wallets look a little bit nicer, even though I'm still down 50% to like the last time, last high, but slowly recovering, right? Hashtag whole gang. One thing, not crypto related, crypto again next week when it's crashing again, it's more fun to talk about it when it's crashing, right? Sorry, pessimistic of you. So today I took a Grab. Like Grab is, for those people not in Asia, not in Southeast Asia, it's like Uber. It's an app like Uber. You have Uber Eats, you have Grab Food, Uber taxis, Grab cars, and Grab motorcycles, because motorcycle taxi are a thing here. So I booked a motorcycle taxi, and then you have it on your app, like an Uber, right? By the way, it should be Uber, the Germans. So like an Uber, and then you follow like the map and so on. Usually the map is full screen, or so you can see where the car or the motorcycle is. Today, for the first time ever, that map was very small, shrunk down, and then there was huge advertising from AIS, a telecommunications provider here in Thailand. So 2/3 of my screen were advertising by AIS in the Grab app, and then only 1/3 showed me like the map. Grab, that sucks. That's really annoying. I'm already paying for that service here. What in the world? Not cool, Grab. Not cool. If that continues, I want to use something else. Uber, can you come back? Rebrand or something else. Gojek, whatever. That's annoying. That's really annoying. Like, I'm paying for your freaking application by using it. So why would you show me extra advertising? I'm not happy with this Grab. What do you guys think? Are you okay with that? I mean, what's the benefit for me? Do you make it cheaper? No, it's not cheaper. Right? What the hell? F you. Okay. Lastly, what I want to finish with was like some news today from, I think from Argentina. Don't cry for me, Argentina. Great musical, by the way. In Argentina, Canal 26. I have to say that newsreader confused Bill Shakespeare, that guy, unfortunately, who died, was the second guy in the world who got a corona vaccine, but he was like 81 or so. And now 1 year later, almost, he died from a stroke. So not related to the vaccine. So rest in peace, Bill Shakespeare. But the announcer on TV confused this guy, Bill Shakespeare, 81 years old, who just died, with William Shakespeare, who died in 1661 or so, I think, top of my head, 16 something, I think 61, I'm not sure. So the clip is hilarious because she's all in. So we all know Bill Shakespeare, like one of the most famous writers in history ever, one of my heroes or something like this, like, or I think he's the greatest or something like this. And she's going all in. Why did no one stop her? She's like, we are mourning the death of this super famous writer, most influential writer in the English literature, blah, blah, blah. Why is no one helping? Why is no one saying anything? The tweets and replies are hilarious, of course, on social media. Most of them, of course, in Argentina, but also then on a global scale. It's amazing. Like, how can this make it onto the air? Fantastic. So, as someone in the media industry teaching media stuff, I'm like, oh my God, how can this happen? But yeah, I'm curious to see like if the channel comes out, Canal 26, or if I know she comes out saying something about it, maybe making fun of it. I think the best solution would be if she says something, just making fun of it, so taking it on a funny side, like don't be too I don't know, mad, sad, angry about it. But it's just funny. How can you confuse like someone from 2021 with someone from 1660 or something? Great. Check it out. It's all over social media. Canal 26 in Argentina, Bill Shakespeare. Check it out. All right. The last thing I want to do for today is just announcing something and just basically bringing back Follow Friday, because me and a colleague of mine, we just started another podcast show channel, if you will. It's called HA Squared. It will be in the description of this podcast, YouTube video, wherever you're watching or hearing or listening to this. It's basically two media professors talking about things that happen in media. It's going to be like long form content once every few weeks, and then we cut it down and post some highlights and so on. And it's highly interactive. We will also have live streams that we didn't record, but live streams where you could ask us questions and so on. So if you're into anything, all things media, give us a follow there. We're putting lots of time and effort into this, so would love to see, hear, read from you guys there if you have anything that you want to ask about, like media-related subjects and so on. First views are already up on at HAS Squared. So check it out, give it a try. Let me know what you think. Until then, take care, stay safe, and I'll see and talk to you next week. Sawasdee krap.